So today we're going to be continuing to take a look at the alternate future of the United States. In the last episode, a bunch of alliances were formed, a lot of wars broke out, and a couple states no longer exist. As you can see, tensions have been rising throughout North America. So let's de escalate things. New York and New Jersey have signed an agreement to share Liberty Island. That's right, they're not going to fight anymore. New Jersey is also applying for NATO membership. They're just waiting to get approved. In other news, Texas is feeling trapped. So they have been militarizing ever since their victory against Oklahoma. Oh, hey, would you look at that? New Jersey has been approved. Maryland and Virginia have agreed to drop a border for Washington, D.C. I did this just so you could see it better. Because it was just so hard to see. Isn't that better? I'll label DC with this yellow, this washed out looking grayish yellow to signify that it's under construction. Under construction. It turns out Utah's it's been militarizing this whole time. They have prepared to form an empire. And unfortunately for Wyoming, they're getting invaded. Yeah, this is not going to be pretty. Just did they just blitz through Wyoming, cut the whole nation in half, and they surrender. So now, if we look at the peace treaty, Utah looks weird. The Empire of Deseret has been established, and they're not done yet. Now, poor Arizona. Arizona was prepared for some type of invasion. This is as far as they'll go before Deseret launches a spearhead directly to the Mexican border, and then just capture large swaths of territory. Eventually, Arizona just surrenders. And now the four corners are no more. Deseret really only has two options left: Montana or Idaho. Mexico's too powerful. California and Nevada are NATO members. Colorado and New Mexico are in an alliance. Nebraska and Dakota are in a separate alliance. So they're just like, you know what? Go big or go home. And just go after both. And initiate another blitzkrieg. Just start sweeping across the nations. Soon all of the continent's potatoes would belong to the Mormons. You see, then Deseret makes two mistakes. First, they invade into Dakota, shoot a civilian. And then their other unit shoots someone in Oregon, which drags both of these alliances both of these alliances into the war. These two states would not have been able to survive. They are immediately pushed out. Now they're being attacked on all sides. And Deseret surrenders pretty quickly. So now we just cut to the peace treaty. I just realized I forgot to change Alaska. So in the peace treaty, we have the dissolution of the Empire of Deseret. Wyoming and Arizona are liberated. Idaho and Montana are restored to their to roughly their old borders. Idaho joins NATO, while Montana joins the Midwest Pact. Arizona and Wyoming are left neutral, and Utah is forbidden. Utah is banned from any military activity for 2 years. Michigan then invites Pennsylvania to join the Midwest Alliance, as well as Wyoming, which then evens the scale in terms of sheer numbers. Oh yeah, by the way, within a couple weeks, they managed to clean up all the radiation somehow. A lot of the budget went into that. So now it's around May 2026, and DC has been fully rebuilt. Hired a lot of workers. Now Virginia and Maryland are no longer forced to work together. And now there's this big dispute over the border. I put those three dots there to show that the area is disputed. At the same time, Virginia wants revenge. So they're going to declare war on West Virginia and Maryland. Oops. Of course, they move in to their old territory in their western tip. But of course, Maryland and West Virginia were prepared, and each launched their own spearheads. This is only the beginning of what will be known as the Douglas War. Virginia doesn't realize what's happening as they keep advancing. While a large part of their state is encircled. Eventually, Virginia gets their act together and pulls troops out. Luckily, evading capture. And their enemies are pushed back to their border. Unfortunately, there's a rebel movement on the Delmarva Peninsula and another in DC, where they have a bunch of settlers. And have changed their state's name to Douglas. The three neighboring states agree to guarantee Douglas's independence if they pull out of the war, to which Douglas agrees. So now all of Maryland and West Virginia's energy is spent pushing back against Delaware separatists. This gives Virginia a golden opportunity. They meet up at the Kentucky border encircling a large portion of their old land. All of their old land, actually. They're once again careful not to attack anyone else. And eventually, they get their land back. Now all that's left is to cut off Maryland, cut off the West Virginia panhandle. This huge area has been encircled, and it all surrenders to Virginia. Now West Virginia is cut off from Maryland. Now they can capture the other panhandle. Eventually, West Virginia just outright surrenders. And Maryland agrees to a peace treaty in exchange for keeping all the land that Virginia captured, to which Virginia agrees. And Virginia ends their involvement in the war, pulls all their troops out as promised. And now Maryland offers full Delaware independence in exchange for peace, even offering the entire peninsula, to which Delaware agrees. So now let's finally look at the peace treaty. Virginia didn't get everything they wanted, but they got a lot. Maryland relinquished their claim over DC, or Douglas now, and they fully annexed West Virginia. The Delmarva Peninsula also gains independence, and Maryland has never been weaker. Douglas is basically the United States, so they send an application to join NATO. And we'll see in the next episode if it gets approved. Thank you all for watching. I basically only had 3 days to record this because I'll be in New York most of the week. Stay tuned for episode 4.